Okay, I have 10 minutes to to finish this out. Finish this up. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I had taken basic training. I completed basic training and was sent to Japan. Uh, it took 14 days. We went by troop ship, and it took 14 days from Camp Drake in California, not Camp Drake, Camp Stoma in California, and I think it was the General Walker troop ship carrier. Yeah, it's about 2,000 men on the soldiers on there, so we were packed in like sardines. I'm not complaining. Shit. We try to spend as much time on deck as possible, but we had to rotate. We had a pretty smooth voyage. The journey was pretty smooth for me. I never got seasick, never did. And we spent most of the time playing poker or shooting dice. So that passed up a lot of time. And we landed in Camp Drake there in Japan. And from there, we proceeded in Japan, we was given weapons. In my case, the rifle M1. That's because I was a rifleman. That was my MOS. And it took us about, I can't imagine, it took about maybe 6 or 8 hours I'm lost, I don't know how long it took us to travel by boat from Camp Drake to Incheon. We had to go around the tip of, we passed Busan, we didn't stop, and up the west coast of Korea and debarked at Incheon. At Incheon, that was my first shock, is when we saw these vehicles coming. It was 2.5-ton trucks to transport us as far north as possible. And I noticed there was something, it looked like duffel bags, like GI duffel bags for carrying all your equipment and stuff. But as the trucks got closer, I noticed that they was body bags. And in those body bags was bodies of troops, that had got slaughtered, killed up north. And those were just the ones that they, managed to get back to find, because the Eighth Army was in complete chaos. They were in full retreat. The Chinese had came in and they were doing a number on us. They caught us caught them completely by complete surprise and slaughtered, just wiped them out. Some of the soldiers, some of our guys was caught, they was in sleeping bags. You zip up those sleeping bags and you have to, break it open. But sometimes the zip would freeze because we were dealing with 15 to 35 degrees below zero. So that's as cold that you can hold your hand out and spit, and by the time your slobber hit your hand, it's a cake of ice. If you had beers, that's completely froze. So, you have to keep moving in order to stay alive. If you go to sleep, you never wake up. You freeze. So we would have to take turns to sleep, like maybe 5 minutes. and have someone to wake you up, get you up, and you walk around. So eventually, I joined my unit up in. We was at the capital of North Korea, which was Pyongyang. That was my first day or night of combat. Later that night, I was we surprised an ambush that was set up to ambush stray soldiers that was making their way back south. And that was my first time I fired my weapon there. I counted about 3 bodies. I don't know, I probably didn't hit anyone. Because, one soldier shoot and everybody shoot. That's the same thing, that's the way, it's not a real good idea because you really give away your position when you do it. But it's just something that soldiers militarily train people, even as we noticed that with police force, one officer fires a gun at all of them gonna fire theirs, and take a minute or two to get them to cease fire. So that's where it comes from. The next morning, I was assigned the position of point man. I was given a choice. I could either carry extra ammo like every soldier had to do, for the machine guns and bazookas and, all the other heavy gunnery that we had assigned to our unit. I could either do that, but, looking at those mountains that I know we were going to be fighting in, Korea is a very mountainous country. I chose point, and that was the position that I kept during my tour of duty, which was 9 months on the front. That means patrols, they need points. So I would be the lead, like about maybe something like 30 yards in front of the unit. You don't want to get too far because, you can get cut off from your guys. If you get shot or step on a mine, then your unit, your squad and platoon will know that there are mines. They know that the enemies are located in their area. It would also be a point of reference for our artillery. They could call back and point out the position where the point was killed or shot up or whatever. And so that would be the target area for artillery. And that's what I did. After a while, you get to the point where you say, fuck it. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die like a soldier. Really, you don't have a choice. You could run, but where are you going? You don't have no way of getting anywhere except forward. When the order come out to charge, you charge. Although guys are dropping around you, you don't stop. You keep charging until you can't charge anymore. Or when your enemies retreat or pull off. That's what you do in war. It's nothing like the movies, nothing. I never saw a movie, a made in Hollywood war movie that came close. Maybe the noise, but not so much the noise as, war has has a smell to it. The smell of blood, gunpowder, garlic, I don't know where the garlic come in, but people eat garlic there. The Korean. Anyway, that's sort of a reality of war. I wrote about it. My intentions for writing about it was to alert people that wars are not what it's pictured to be in a movie. It's just, it would be impossible the public wouldn't accept it no more than many of people refuse to read memoirs because they don't want to be reminded of it or they just don't want to know about it. The money that people's civilians are making, the jobs that it offers, that's the good thing. People get rich off of it, but people's die. Many people's die, and they suffer. They become refugees in their own country, and we are seeing that happen now. Once you get in, it's hard to get out. The military don't make war. It's our politicians, our political leaders. Like the saying go, old men make wars, young men fight them, kill and die in them. And the population grows rich and fat and wealthy. So they don't want to be reminded of that. It's like receiving money from your children and they don't have a job, but yet they're paying the rent, they're buying the food, they got nice clothes, they're helping the parents buy clothing, and you just don't ask, baby, where you get the money from? Damn, that's, you just eating. I'm not, that's life as we know it. And it's going to be up to the younger generation to change it. Because I'm too old to change. And most elders are too old to change. They resent change. I'm more capable, acceptable to make change. I have changed in my life, my ideas. But that didn't happen until I left the country and moved to Africa and lived there for a decade. That was when I saw other people, other races, although they was my ancestors, they love each other too. They make love just like we make love. They want the same thing that we want, that every human on the planet want. It's like the environment. We know it's harming us, but it involves jobs. So that means somebody's gonna have to give up something. And when you give up something, you gotta have something. When you ask someone to give up something, you have to have something to offer them and replace it. So I think the space is one project. Environment protection with solar energy and so forth. That's another thing, but it's going to be a turnover. And we're just getting people to realize that this www and computer age is here to stay. So that means many people, I say most people, got to give up the typewriters and the labor, the daily jobs like my father and grandfather, they could dig ditches and earn a living. But now we have machines. There's no more typewriters. So we have to come out of the 50s, the 30s, the 40s, and 50s age and go into this is to my generation of seniors. There's no way around it. And so we just got to go. I can self-publish. I don't have to go to someone and ask them to publish my books. And you notice I have quite a few on my website and on Amazon and so forth. It's just to make people aware of the reality of the life that we're living now. The planet eventually is going to die. So just like I'm going to die, we all are going to die. But you can prolong it by practicing climate control, environment control. And so it's that, it's just, we don't know, maybe hundreds of years or 500 of years, centuries. But if we keep at the pace that we are going now, consuming and disposing of stuff that we need, material things, it wouldn't last long. It would last less longer than, you don't know, it could be a century before, hey, this thing has gone 15 minutes. I didn't know. Okay, so anyway, this is my book. This is one of them. It's also you can also read it in ebook. The ebook title is Black Warriors in Korea. But this was before the electronic books. And so I have the privilege of reproducing it as an ebook, electronic ebook, because that was before ebooks. So I was not, infringing on my contract, and so that's why I have that available, which is easier, really. And this is the book. This is me here. This is just one. I have others on my webpage. I never dreamed. I'm not a writer, really. Gosh, I'm an artist, a craftsman. That's the way I earned my living up until the time I retired. And since retirement, now I'm back to my first love, which is painting, oil painting, storytelling through my art. So I just decided to rehash my life, to relive my life by way of, by sharing my life, the rest of it, with, in the hopes of inspiring others, really, to think outside of the box that we lived in and still living in, because the world has just evolved beyond that stage, and peoples are, especially the young peoples, are thinking and venturing outside of the box that we seniors was born in, and our leaders, because the leaders, hell, they don't know what to do. They wait for we waiting for the younger generation to take over, but they're not going to give up nothing for nothing. They got to have something. They figure like, okay, so like our history is not nice. History is horrible. Like the way we became the greatest country in the world, the most richest in the world. The reason why this man became president in this, especially here in the United States, it wasn't by accident. It was by force. Someone came here and they took this country from someone else. They brought peoples here who was honorable and made them slaves, which was us, black people, And so when we learn our history, I was really just exposed to it, then we come to realize that we actually are the first peoples on this planet. It was from black that all other races eventually became. And if we trace our history back further, we get to the point where the first civilization was on the planet, on the continent of Africa. There was great kingdoms in Africa just like there was great kingdoms and empires in the Mediterranean. There was the Roman Empire, there was Genghis Khan, there was Great Britain, there was the French, the Spanish. At one time, we all came to a rise and fall, and eventually we went to sleep. That's what happened to us, the Africans, and China. So now it's our turn, the United States of America. And we know we're going to have to share. Americans is going to have to share. I think that's the major problem there, is to be able to share. So what the elders are doing, that's including the black, brown, red, and yellow, those who have benefited from the conquering and the wars of the past. You know, they're reluctant to give it away. So they said, okay, baby, when I leave here, it's yours. And you could do with it whatever you please, because I won't be here. It's just like me in my heart. I'm enjoying it now. And when I close my eyes for the last time, that's it, finished. It's over with for me. And whoever get it, I don't care. I wouldn't care. I couldn't care anyway because I wouldn't be here to care. But I know it would go somewhere, just like memoirs that we write. And I think we all should tell our story, to leave our stories to our great-great-great-grannies, because they're going to be curious about their ancestors, just like we are becoming curious about ours, and especially with this DNA age. And that's where we are now. Now we can trace our ancestors all the way back. Caucasians don't have any problem. Most Caucasians can trace their family history all the way back, you know, to Europe or Asia or whatever. But where we have a bit of a problem. And now with the invention of DNA, you know, that problem is eliminated. And I guess the reason why a lot of us don't want to, is not interested or ignore it, is because we are not proud of our history. Like being a Buffalo Soldier. That name was gave to black soldiers who could only fight indigenous peoples of this country. You know, because that was a major fear for ex-slaves to be able to learn how to fight, or how to relearn how to fight. That's why I have to think about when I wear this cap. Buffalo Soldiers, what was our purpose? I can tell you why we was called by the indigenous American Buffalo Soldiers. It's because of our fighting ability, which is like our sport ability. And that was held back as long as possible. I mean, we had to fight for our own right to be free, our ancestors. My grandfather was 12 years old when the Civil War started. So every year he would come north. And he passed in 1952, 51. I was in Korea then, you know, fighting for the rights that I didn't even have here. We all fought for the right. But the bottom line is when you're fighting in a war, you're really fighting for your life. I mean, that's it. Fighting for your country and all that stuff. Yeah, that's great. When you get back, you say what the people want to hear. And it's good. You know, I mean, I ain't had no problem with that. But when you are there, black and white and yellow, I mean, that white dude in that hole with you is your brother. I mean, you guys are thick as peas in a pot, as close to a human body as a flea lice. Everybody get lices in war. I mean, they go right to the warm areas, you know, and they move around when you get warm, and that goes for, they go everywhere, all over. That's in all war. You know, I mean, conventional war. That's what I'm referring to because, you know, that's all I can talk about is conventional war because that's what I spent. That's what I was in. Not, you know, other wars. Now we have different wars, but wars are war, and warriors are warriors. Whether they are the good guys or the bad guys, or the bad guy or the good guy, or the whoever you are fighting is a warrior too. Like you will be a warrior. So, you know, soldiers, we never call each other warriors. You know, one soldier don't go, hey, warrior. That's something that the the news media give us, you know, gave us. So anyway, you know, they come up with all kind of different names. You know, thank you for your service. But and it's good. I know the intentions are good, but they don't know what I did, but they thank me. The war could turn out to be an accident or a bad war. And I don't find out, the soldiers don't find it out until afterward. It's like you drop you could throw a hand grenade and then you go to see what's happening, the results, and you find people having a church service, or a woman giving birth, or a wedding, or people's eating dinner. Because, you know, once that hand grenade or bomb or drone deliver wherever the target is, and there's always short round. That's what we call it. But now they call it friendly fire. Like, we lost a lot of men by short round, you know, rounds that don't have enough powder in it or, you know, not coordinated right, and it lands on us. You know, like our planes shoot us up. I recall 2 times that we were shot up by F-86. And we was up, when he made his first pass, you know, we was up on the hill. We just fought our way up the hill. And we up there waving, yeah, you know. And then he'd make that loop and came back down. Those 650 was going off. I think it's 650. But they were like 50 caliber machine guns mounted on jets. The first thing I noticed was trees, branches, rifles, you know, being shot up in the air. So naturally, you know, the first thing you do is take cover. You hit the ground. You don't get down when you hear gunfire. You hit that ground. You go flat. Then you look around to see where the fire is coming from. I mean, I'm saying that's for the benefit of the people that get caught out in the shooting, you know, because when you're shooting at someone, it's hard to hit what you shoot. We spend weeks learning how to shoot a rifle or sidearm when you're in the military, and you still miss the target. You'd be surprised how many times or how many people could shoot at one target and everybody miss. You know, so that's what the Adrian says. I'm saying that's because it seems that our country care more for guns than they do for each other. It's a love affair. So it's going to be up to the younger generation to decide whether they want to continue that or not. And the solution is very easy. Stop making them or stop making them available, you know, to civilians like they did back in the Wild West days. You know, first they had to check their gun outside the city limit. And then they just made it a law that you don't walk around in the city with guns. But that's something that that you guys are going to have to work out, you know, for yourself. So anyway, my knowledge, most of it came to me about living with other people and respecting other people was my journey to Africa, my Sankofa. Now, you don't make money off a book unless you get Oprah to endorse it or someone like that. You know, people would buy it because they bought it. But people don't read books too much now, especially with television and all the other different media, you know. And people don't want to be reminded of bad things that happened to them, to our country, you know, mistakes that we had made, you know, all the way back on both sides. So that's something that eventually, hopefully, we'll get over with. Maybe not during my time, but someone's time, so other people's time. Anyways, 30 minutes. I don't know if this is going to upload or not, but I'm recording it on my iPad. So that's my message. Like the elders say, I'm an elder, so I've said it. And I hope someone benefits from it. Okay, take care. Have a great day and be creative. I'm out. Punch this button and I'm off the air.